Well, good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Hey, today I want to get on here and take a look at Toyota Tundra reliability. You know, everybody always talks about how reliable the Toyota Tundra is. So I thought I'd go out, take a look at the recalls that have been issued, specifically for the 2020 model years, 2019, 2018, and see just how the Tundra compares to the top three being Ford, Chevy, and Ram. Now, I will say that out of these four trucks that I've looked at, two of them haven't had any recalls in 2020. Leave a comment down below. Before you watch any further, can you guess which one it is or which ones they are? Let's start off with the F-150. You know, it's touted as being the best-selling truck in America. Is it the most reliable truck in America? First of all, they've had 3 recalls. And again, I'm looking at recalls, not technical service bulletins. These are bona fide recalls. First off, number 1 is an improperly assembled seat back recliner mechanism. That means that the seat can kind of give way. It can slip. Not a good thing while you're driving down the road. This affects model years 2018 through 2020, certain trucks, so not every truck. The number affected, 639,137. Next up, number 2, damaged cable can overheat and cause a fire. Now this is pretty serious. I mean, having the seat go backwards while you're driving, or forwards, that can be pretty uncomfortable. But this one can catch the truck on fire. It affects 2015 through 2019, certain trucks again, and the number affected, 131,068. Next up, number 3, and the last recall for Ford is a block heater connection corrosion problem that can cause a short and again another fire. Got to watch out for those F-150s. They might flame out while you're driving down the road, you know. This affects 2015 through 2019, again certain trucks. The number affected, 410,289. Now, what this refers to specifically are the block heaters. So you folks up north, you Canadians up there, and anybody else in a colder climate that plugs their block in to keep it hot or heated during the winter, you might want to check into this. Next up is the Ram 1500. The Ram 1500 has one recall, just one recall, and it is a flash memory corruption of the occupant restraint controller, disabling the airbags and seatbelt pretensioners. A lot of big words in there. It affects 2019 and 2020 model years, certain trucks, and there were 295,981 so far affected. That's it. So just one bona fide recall on the Ram. Not too bad. Pretty good for Ram. Next up, we're going to take a quick look at the Chevy Silverado, and we're saving the Tundra to last. The Chevy Silverado, and kudos to the Chevy Silverado, no recalls yet for the 2020 model years, and only one for 2019. And that one is a passenger airbag module damaged during assembly. It said in a crash, the airbag may not inflate properly. I'm guessing that's probably a timing thing, because once that little charge goes off and the airbag inflates, it's inflated. I don't know how it couldn't inflate properly. So it's got to be a timing thing. The number affected, again, this is pretty good, only 154. So we're not talking hundreds of thousands like the other two. And it involves certain 2019 model year, or trucks rather. Not bad for Chevy. I'm pretty happy about that for Chevy. Next up, last up, what we're comparing to all these is the Toyota Tundra. I have one behind me here. Mine is a 2019. Now I will say, and kudos to Toyota, none for 2020. We have no active recalls out there for 2020 as of the date of the information I'm looking at. Now, there were 4 for the 2019s. I have a 2019. These are pretty serious, so you might want to pay close attention to this. The first one is an unreadable weight label. You can't see how much the truck weighs. You know, the truck and the accessories and all that stuff, you can't tell. It affects certain 2019 model years, like mine, and only 3,634. Not a ton, and really not a life-threatening recall there. Next up, and we're dealing with labels again. Toyota must have had a problem with their label manufacturer, or maybe the guy that, or gal that typed in the numbers, I don't know. It says capacity load indicating additional weight. Now we're going to get to something more about this in a minute, because I think this led to a second recall, or another recall on this. It affects 2019 certain trucks and only 280 of them. So for 280 labels, somebody screwed up the typing or something. I don't know. Not very many. Next up, and again, this one. Now this one is very, very serious. So put down whatever you're doing and pay attention to this one, because you're going to want to know. This is important. Incorrect weight on capacity label. You know, that's that little label right here on the inside of your door. It's actually right there in the door frame. Incorrect weight on capacity label. Now, this is how it was stated. All weather floor mat weight may have been counted twice, so they doubled the weight of the floor mats, adding a false additional 10 pounds to the labeled weight. So your truck, if you happen to fall into this tiny category, might actually weigh 10 pounds less than that label in your door frame there states. I know it's very, very serious, but it is an issued recall, so in all fairness and transparency, we have to report it. It affects 2018 through 2019 certain trucks, and the number affected, 508. 508. Again, a very small percentage of the total produced, but if you've got one, you might care that your truck actually weighs 10 pounds less than what you think it does. Now, we're going to move to the last one. This one is a little bit more serious, so it is number 4. Airbags may not deploy as intended. Now, that sounds pretty familiar to another one we had there. Let's see, that would have been going back to, I guess, the Chevy with an airbag problem. But this one says they may not deploy as intended. Again, I'm not exactly sure what that means. There's a charge in there. When it goes off, the airbag explodes, if you will. Maybe it doesn't inflate fully. Maybe that's the problem, or it just doesn't inflate exactly as quickly as it should to protect the occupant. I don't know. Anyway, airbags may not deploy as intended. Pretty serious there. It affects 2018 through 2019 certain trucks. Again, this is a 2019 behind me. And the number of affected were 168,187, so a decent amount of Tundras were affected by this this recall. So how does it compare? Well, if you go by just the numbers, I mean, really, the Ram and the Chevy came out to be the best. They only had one each. Now, they're fairly serious. They do involve the airbags, but so does the Tundra recall. So if nothing worse, you can group the Tundra and the Chevy and the Ram together, at least in the number of recalls. Now, one little note I will add to this, and I didn't include this, are the TSBs. There were a lot more, several more TSBs with the Ram, the Chevy, and the Ford than there were with the Tundras. I'm not going to go into the TSBs. You know, some of them get into the hundreds, and that would make for a pretty long and pretty boring video. So we only looked at the actual bona fide recalls where they say you have to bring your truck in, or you should, to have these things fixed. So what does this prove? Well, it proves to me that the Toyota Tundra is at least as dependable from a recall standpoint as the Chevy and the Ram, and the Ford is just on a different plane. Not only are they number one in sales, but they're number one in recalls. Maybe that's due to volume, maybe it's due to quality, I don't know, but I still prefer the Toyota Tundra I have here behind me for reasons other than just recalls. It's a gorgeous truck. As usual, appreciate you guys watching. Leave a comment down below. Do any of these really concern you at all? The fires might in the Ford. That's pretty concerning to me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on the web. Have a good day. Bye.